Awesome. I am recording. So let's start with the first, with an introduction to the workshop. I am going to reveal the first exercise. So welcome to the stakeholder workshop on multi-UAS coordination. So as Luke said, we're exploring how different organizations can operate drone systems in a shared urban space. You do not need drone expertise. We're just here to learn from your professional experience. For those of you who aren't familiar with some of the technical terms that are used, and I wasn't, I learned that just this semester. UAS is an unmanned aerial system. So it's a drone or an aerial vehicle system that operates with or without an on-site pilot. Multi-UAS operations are multiple drone systems that are operated by different organizations at the same time. Shared airspace is a sky above a region, a common zone where all of these multiple aircraft can operate. And coordination is ensuring that the flying around is safe, efficient, and the operations are kept transparent. So let's start with the first exercise. With the colors that you all claimed for each other, in one word, what do you think about drones? I can bring you all to me if you have trouble finding where I am. Yeah, I've added a tiny timer for about 40 seconds for everyone to add in their words.
Are we just doing the first question, or these participants going ahead off the agenda?
I would like that we do it one by one. Although it did get revealed altogether, so I don't mind if you guys want to go ahead and start the next one. So let's talk about why you associate that word to drones. And you are welcome to start talking about this too. Hi, Wendy. I see that you just joined in. Hello. You're muted if you say, yeah.
Yeah. How can I quick catch up? Can you give me the
Yeah.
1 second what everybody's doing? Sorry
Yeah,
about
I
that.
can. So while everyone's doing their little activity, I can introduce you to what we're doing. So hi, welcome to our workshop. Thank you for making the time to be here. I've sent a link in the chat. I can send it again if needed.
Yes, please. It doesn't show up.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
of
I know.
joining. Okay.
Yeah. So just open the link and you should be directed onto a browser. You don't need to make an account for this. This is a collaborative whiteboard where we've put all of our workshop activities. And once you're on, let me know and I can tell you how to start.
I didn't know we were tattling on each other, Rich. Good to see you, buddy.
Okay.
See you.
I'm in.
Okay, awesome. So the first thing, have you used Miro as a tool before?
Yes, but it's been a bit.
Okay, so basic rundown is if you don't like seeing the cursors on the screen, it can be a little overwhelming. You can turn it off by going to the little icons at the top and just toggle show cursors off. If you're okay with it, then that's perfectly fine. If you want to zoom in and out, if you're using a mouse, then all you need to do is hold control and scroll on the mouse. And if you don't have a mouse and you have a trackpad, then just two fingers on the trackpad going out and in is good for the zoom. The first tiny activity is just understanding how to use the drag and drop function. So you can drag the post-it from the stack and add a little text to it. You can also, on the US map, drag a circle and drop it onto whatever your favorite place is. And to get started with the other activities, just claim a color from the post-its that don't have a name on it yet.
Okay, so just do the activities right now.
Yeah. So the first activity is, in one word, what do you think about drones? Whenever you've claimed your color, you can move over to the next board and add in your answers. In the meantime, I would like if maybe we could go one by one if you prefer, but if everyone gives a little explanation as to their word and the little write-up that they have.
Sure, I'll go first. I threw down underutilized, and I think, you know, as a whole, I've worked around the UAS area for about the past decade, and you know, our hesitant nature to adopt this technology has kind of put us at a massive and distinct disadvantage, you know, just across the world. So I think, you know, that's kind of one of my big soapbox pitches. So I think underutilized, maybe because of fear of understanding or just natural fear of adoption of something new. But yeah, that's my soapbox. Thanks.
We can continue the conversation. I don't want to have to call out people.
Okay.
That's awkward.
I can go. I'm Terry Mullins with Burgess and Apple, by the way. And I wrote innovative and very close to who wrote revolutionary, really. But, you know, in contrast to how we used to collect data, manual, very time consuming. I'm amazed at how we used to spend weeks on a job site manually walking around and drawing maps and collecting. That now we can put a drone up and in an hour collect all that data. So for those of us who have been around a long time, we can compare it back to those days. It's like, oh my gosh, I wish I had this 30 years ago. So
Similar, I did revolutionary because this technology it's a workforce multiplier. You know, too often we talk about return on investment, but you know, from an ODOT standpoint, it's about elevating safety, and it has been a game changer for us. When you talk about workforce, it enables us to retain employees because it's cutting edge and just a different way of solving problems.
I can build on that as well. The crucial ties in, I think, to a lot of that, where it's a technology that has a huge impact that we're really only barely brushing the surface on.
Yeah,
I think Beth wanted to say something. Yes, sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead.
I was gonna say, sorry, friends. I think the first, like, I heard what's the first word that comes to mind when you think of drones, and I was totally different than the crowd. By the way, I love drones, but I wrote loud because I was absolutely shocked at how loud they are. But I agree with what everyone else is saying. It's revolutionary, it's underutilized, it's innovative. But all those things are great, but there's implications to that, right? Like, people need to get used to hearing them, to seeing them in the sky, and get comfortable with them being around, because I think there's a perception issue out in the marketplace. I don't want to be spied on. I don't want people taking pictures or surveilling me. So I think that's ultimately where I was going with the loud.
I mean, that's going to be a huge problem when you're looking for like a public adoption and things like that. So I think it fits really well.
Yep, agreed.
Okay, let's move on to the next exercise. I'm gonna unlock it. There we go. So the first, what we're gonna start with is I am gonna introduce you guys to a scenario, and we're gonna do some mapping and some workshopping based on that scenario. So the scenario is that Cincinnati is upgrading one of its busiest urban corridors as part of a smart city initiative. The corridor includes transit routes, bridges, roadways, parks, and public spaces, all being studies for modernization and safety improvements. To support this work, multiple organizations are scheduling aerial operations during the same week to collect data for their respective projects. A few examples are the city planning is mapping new development areas for bike lanes and pedestrian pathways. Metro, which is Cincinnati's public transport agencies, analyzing traffic flow and accessibility to bus stops. Infrastructure and engineering firms are inspecting bridges, roads, and utility lines if they need to repair or upgrade anything. We have environmental monitoring teams to assess the greenery around, public safety to ensure situational awareness during a public event like a football match happening, and a university research group such as ours, testing data collection for urban mobility systems. With the colors that you've chosen, what's your first impression of this? Whatever your immediate priority is, you can add more than one sticky note. You just have to copy paste your post-it, and you can add as many thoughts as you have. Okay, I see a lot of passionate replies here. Does anyone want to maybe talk about theirs?
I can jump in. While you were talking, given that you have multiple vehicles there, you definitely need airspace management or UTM. And so that's what popped into my head immediately to do all the coordination that you can do a lot of planning at the beginning, but real time, you need to make sure you're there or in the right spots.
Yeah, and piggyback on that. So one of my specific selfish areas of expertise is verification and validation. So V and V of the implemented system, that it's accomplishing its tasks, and what those metrics of goodness are.
I think trust and transparency is a ongoing effort. I think too often it's overlooked. We front load it and we work on it, but it's a continuous process of informing the public, sharing data, whether that's any public forum, YouTube channels, anything to share data with the communities so they can see what it looks like in their backyard.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but the design thinker in me is challenging the assumption that a drone is the right tool for all of these instances. Like I was thinking about the public transportation agency, the Metro, analyzing traffic flow and bus stop accessibility. I'm sure that could be like pulled from regular cameras, but the other idea, more like immediate priority, I think would be to perhaps share a resource or at least prioritize the efforts, because I don't think it's feasible to run all of that at once.
Yeah, that's
Kinda-
great. Yeah.
I was going to say to what Beth had mentioned too. Yeah, duplicating your efforts. That was my thing there. How many different images do you want of the same street used by how many different departments? So, yeah, just to minimize the airspace exposure and the whole UTM management piece there, but dovetailing also to what Beth said about resources.
Okay, if everyone's done, let's move to the next one to keep the momentum going. It's on the same lines of what we've been talking about. Let's map the challenges. So I've set up here 4 pillars. One is safety, the second is operational, third is technical, and fourth is public and perception. Everyone has their own assigned boards, although if you don't, then let me know. I think Wendy doesn't have one. So I'm gonna make one for her right now. Wendy, it should be at the very bottom. There we go. And add at least 2 sticky notes each. So there's already a space. All you need to do is add your text in. And the colors are which pillar you are adding it under. So yellow is safety, green or teal is operational, blue is technical, and pink is public perception. If you have any other insights that aren't within these pillars, then feel free to add it under the pink post-its, the dark red pink post-its. One of the reasons that we had everyone have their own assigned spaces is so that you can go and see what someone else has also said, and you can keep track of their responses too, if that helps inspire you or feed into hopefully a good conversation here too. So feel free to look around. Okay, awesome. I think our time's up for this one. Although you can keep coming back and adding once you finish the other activity, and then you can come back and add if you need to. But let's move to the next one. So this activity is about how your workflow would change based on that scenario. So we want you to step into your role and reflect on how these operations in urban environments might directly affect your day-to-day work. So think about how your responsibilities could shift, what new opportunities might open up, what new risks or conflicts could emerge. And we want you to think on two tracks. One is how would the presence of multi-UAS operating in systems change how your organization does its work? And the second is, would it support it or would it hinder it? Everyone has their own spaces, but I will make one for Wendy. The names are below the box, so just keep track of that. Okay, maybe we can start talking about what's being written here. Beth, do you want to start?
Yes, allow me to come off of mute. Are we going to start with the area that we had discussed before, the safety, operational, technical, public perception, or more of the, like, how would it change your operations or help and hinder your work?
We could maybe go one by one because maybe some of the things that you said in the previous activity fed directly into this. So go ahead and
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so some safety things that I noted are safely flying above people or closing those areas down. I know there are definitely rules and regulations on when you can and cannot fly over people. And then notify relevant airspace controllers of the drone movement. From an operations perspective, still think it would be good to prioritize these coordinated efforts, and someone could do that through creating kind of like a skunkworks team to share the resources and the learnings, because there was a fair bit of overlap in the things that each of those groups were trying to study. Technically, I'm not sure if this quite fits, but ensure the operators are correctly certified, meaning they have to have that Part 107, and then make sure that you're using the correct type of aircraft based on the need. So if you're just studying something in the day, you probably don't need to go out and have this like fully loaded night vision drone or with FLIR uh, abilities on it. It's just a note. And then public perception, a communication plan to the public, which could even perhaps include social media announcements. It could kind of be, hey, look at this cool new technology we're using. We're using drones, and here's how we're using them. And then using it to assuage concerns to the public about surveillance and noise. As an other, I put airspace waivers, just depending on how high you fly, you need airspace waivers, or at least to notify again the relevant airspace controller of your action in that particular area. And then how would the multi-UAS in cities change your operations? Here at the airport, like we are just the airport. If you think of us like a mall operator, we are just the building and the space and responsible for the overall harmony. But we would just need to be notified. The impacts are more to the FAA and Tower, NTSB, et cetera. So different government agencies. Um, but it would help our work. It would help with that public perception, especially as we're gearing up for advanced air mobility efforts. I think it'll be important for people to see regular drones flying before they can wrap their head around a drone the size of the aircraft, moving them and or cargo from place to place. I think for us at the airport, these studies would provide insight into future development that impacts routes to our airport directly. So like that Brent Spence project that we were talking about earlier. I always think it's good to get just additional insights in general. Once you have these big data sets, I'm often surprised at how the data, even though it may seem somewhat relevant, can become very relevant as you dig into it a little deeper. And then even transitioning into use cases at the airport for building inspections or roof inspections, it just, I think seeing is believing, and seeing this technology out and working gives people a lot more perception and belief on the matter, and then that leads to momentum.
Yeah, awesome. Does anyone have anything to say to that, or if they think it's connected to what they've talked about? Okay, does anyone want to go next? All right, that's okay.
So
I'm not gonna force.
I'll jump in real
Yeah.
quickly. Yeah, so I think, you know, for me in the research scope, you know, the change would provide the opportunity for rapid testing and development of kind of what we consider the cutting edge right now. But so distributed communications, you know, new advancements in command and control. Those are all types of interesting pieces that, you know, the infrastructure would support for us to go test on and validate. So that would be great. Um, Obviously, the hindrance, there could be more hoops to jump through to do certain testing. And it, you know, it could actually hinder the development of those capabilities based on the road blocks that we'll set up to kind of keep everybody on track. So just a couple thoughts for me. Thanks.
Okay, awesome. Okay, let's move on to the next one then. The next one is let's collaborate on solutions to the challenges that we just mapped. So in this activity, we're going to map out the interdependencies between different stakeholders. So as Beth pointed out, there's so many things that overlap with each other, so many needs from different agencies that overlap. So we're trying to see what those interdependencies are. So each of you have two rows, one for what your stakeholder needs from others to work effectively, and one for what your stakeholder can provide to the group. We want to see what the connections are, where someone's strengths can meet another one's needs, and where might be more possible gaps. And be as specific as you think you can be. And each of you have a sticky stack too, so you can add more insights if needed.
Apparently I was eliminated.
Oh no, wait. Oh yeah, we didn't get your RSVP, so wait, let me add a little box for you. It's no problem.
Yeah, Rich had forwarded this on to me. I think he forwarded on to the other people in
Yeah.
the office here too. So
Yeah, no problem. I'm making one at the very, it should be below Justin's, if you can see it.
Yep.
Maithili, you're muted.
Oops, sorry. I was just saying that we can maybe, I'm envisioning this to almost look like a game of Monopoly, where maybe people in this group can say if they need something from someone else in this group, or if they can provide something to someone else in this group. If anyone found a pattern like that, then we can talk about that. Maybe we can start with Brian. Or Justin, if you can get the conversation started.
Yeah, just to be clear, you want me to go over my blocks here.
Yeah, and
yeah,
if
yeah.
you see any patterns emerging.
Oh, well, sure. I did not look in detail at everybody else's, so apologies. But so I guess kind of some of the stuff I need, I'm sure there's going to be some similarities is infrastructure across the state, some industry solutions to kind of validate capabilities or develop solutions for, champions in the state to remember UC's down here. We're still here working on UTM. I think that's definitely going to be important. I would love for UC to hire a VP of research so we can help get some good direction from the university. And then things I can provide, V&V for some of these tools in real life settings. And then Ever mentioned jokes. I have plenty of them. They're generally not funny though. So thanks.
So from the state's perspective, we are looking at infrastructure, determining is that our role, or how do we fund that is the other piece. We're looking for a model. People adverse to taxes, how do we sustain these operations when we put it out there? Regulatory action to support drone operations, advanced air mobility throughout the state. Our legislators are lacking behind that. We need them to support the bigger picture. They've supported us in a drone as a first responder effort, but we're just scratching the surface. They need to do more to make Ohio more willing to accept that technology. And from the legislature, it's a leading position that helps community acceptance as well. Enhanced battery technology. You know, once that is solved, it's going to change this whole paradigm of distance. Technology is a challenge for many people. As soon as you say technology, people's eyes glaze over and they're afraid it's going to take their jobs. So having a more accepting workforce is an ongoing challenge for us. We have a robust fleet of almost 100 drones now that we could help other entities with. We are a shared service for 15 other state agencies. Our sensors, we have a lot of technology that we can fly, from magnetometers to ground penetrating radars, air samplers, infrared, on and on. We have the ability right now, statewide coverage with 50 pilots across the state that we train internally that can help. We have airspace dedicated here at Springfield Airport for the testing of aircraft, the larger advanced air mobility. And with our movement into drone-in-the-box technologies, we were able to start flying remote operations here from Springfield across the state. We're working on a waiver to have that enabled in the very near future.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything to add if they want to talk about what they've written?
Yeah, actually, I just for the patterns, I see a lot of patterns in regulation, frameworks for successful implementation, and buy-in. I think these are for those of us who have, been in this game for a bit, they continue to be obstacles, and I don't know that there's an easy answer to them. I think it just takes time and lobbying and effort.
Terry, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I really enjoy the feedback, and I think like Bess said, I think there's a lot of commonality or a lot of trends that we're seeing. So it's helpful for us as a AE design firm to see that others are struggling somewhat with the same issues that we are. So it's very helpful in that regard. So
Yeah, that's the whole point of this workshop is you will have access to this board. We are not taking away the access, so you can always come back and see all of the research that we're doing is also accessible to you.
great. That was one of my questions I was going to pose. If we would have access to this later. So great. Thank you very much.
You'll have
Thank you.
access to this and the meeting recording, so you'll be
Great.
yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
let's move to the next one. This one is let's brainstorm solutions. So add at least 2 post-its into the same pillars, the same 4 pillars that we had, safety, operational, technical, and public and perception. And basically, let's brainstorm solutions that could help resolve these overlaps or resolve the challenges that we just talked about.
Maitali, you're muted again.
Sorry. Anyway, let's move on to the next activity and the last one. And I'm surprised that the workshop went by so quickly. I'm uncovering this one. It is the top priorities for the solutions that we thought of. So I am copy pasting all of the post-its that all of us put. And there is a scale here from what you really want and what you really don't want. And you can take as many as you want, as many of the little voting stickers, and feel free to vote on all of the post-its or any of the post-its that you think are relevant on that scale. You have to drag the dots to the post-it.
Back to hell. Oh, I forgot. Compared to C doesn't matter. Back to hell. Oh, I forget. Compared to C doesn't matter where.
This is going great. Does anyone have anything that they would want to talk about, or you just want to continue voting?
I have I guess, a question. So a lot of what we're kind of doing right now, and where the industry is going, do we all think that we're on the right track? Or, you know, some of these areas, I see a lot of, like the adopting a common UTM framework. I feel like we're on that path, but are there certain areas that we're hitting the mark? I was open for everyone.
Hitting the mark or need to do still?
What was that, Wendy?
Is it hitting the mark or needing to do still? Because like the UTM,
Well,
there was the Texas activity that started out and now it's being adopted by a number of other areas and states. And I'm not aware of ODOT doing participation into that, or Ohio in general. And starting the feelers and understanding how the governments and other things work.
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
So for the UTM effort out of Dallas, it started in Dallas, but there's a governance board that basically has a criteria and framework for a lot of this stuff, and they're both accepting new UTMs into the system, but then they're also accepting new locations into it and expansions. And I'm not aware of Ohio doing any of the talking to get into that governance model.
Are you speaking of the FAA?
No, well, the FAA is sanctioning it, but it is run somewhat independently.
By whom? Who chairs it?
I want to say Wing's the big driver and Zipline, but I'll have to get you the names.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Is it a government organization, private organization, state run? I mean,
It's a industry routed. I'll send you guys the information or the link.
okay, thank you.
Does anyone else want to answer just Brian's original question?
Yeah. I was just wondering if everyone thought that we were still on track, or are things getting diluted?
Brian, for at least from where I'm coming from, a lot of the technical things I think are on track. A lot of the, operational things I think are on track and are maturing. And Rich touched on it earlier in the workshop, was legislatively, I'm not so sure there's a firm track. And I think, and again, these are my words, I'm not pointing fingers or anything, but I think some of the fringe problematic things that get brought up are just that, on the fringe, and for some reason it's a rabbit hole that some of our legislators want to go down. Whereas if they took a little more higher altitude view, they would look at it and say, okay, maybe I don't need to go down that hole, and think broader and think more inclusive of the entire effort versus squeaky wheel, so to speak. Just a thought.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
I think overall we're probably pretty close to being on track. Some of the stuff I'm kind of surprised that we've gotten as far as we have, like remote flying, remote docks, beyond visual line of sight. I mean, if you look where we were 10 years ago, you could not use these for commercial purposes. And I mean, I think there's growing pains and we're playing catch up. Technological and the regulatory environment's not the best, but it's shaping up a lot better than I thought it would if I look back 10 years ago overall.
Yeah, and Dave, I agree with you there. And the technical side of things, I think it needs to be addressed, but how much weight you put it on is always the question. The sociological side or the society side of acceptance. You touched on it earlier. I mean, when we're at 16, 17,000 flights, and our phone does not blow up every time we put a drone in the air. And matter of fact, our phone hardly rings when it comes to considering how much we've flown and the interactions we have in the field and whatnot. So to your point, I think technically speaking, we've gone a long ways. And I just think that it's kind of, we're dragging our legislatures along. They're getting there, but man, it's a heavy lift sometimes.
Thanks.
Yeah, I feel like I've only been at the, well, I don't feel this way. I have been at the airport since only March, and I've been to now a number of these workshops, and I feel like they always land in the same place, which is needing help with regulation. The standardization, I think, is really helpful, but I don't really know who is able to tackle that best, or at least lead the effort. It's such a big undertaking, and I feel that just not enough resources are provided to begin with to start to tackle these problems. I think everybody is sort of going out on their own in ways and trying to figure out what works to actually get to implementation and not just in this limbo. I don't know if others
Well,
feel the same way.
I spent, well, let's see, I retired from the FAA several years ago now, but the agency is not, shall we say, a super forward-thinking group. They're a reactive group.
Yeah.
And the agency reacts to Congress, and it reacts to tombstones. And really, the reaction from it's just slow evolving. Technically speaking, we've done some fantastic things. I helped write some documents 10 plus years ago in the FAA. I got tired of waiting for an answer, so I just wrote the documents myself and kind of dared anyone to have a problem with them. And that's how they worked fantastic. And someone came back around a few years later and said, "Hey, how did you come up with this?" So all I had to do was the research. And that was some work that was done in 2013, 2015, 2016 timeframe, and became some of the original UAS rules for the FAA. It just took me just doing it. And unfortunately, the agency is not going to sit back and do a lot for you. You're going to have to get out there and do it. And then they're going to have issues with it, and you're going to have to be ready to react to it. So technically, again, we've done a lot of good things, but legislatively, depending on our legislatures, and I say broadly, any state legislature and a federal legislature, they have to be almost dragged into it. So anyway, I get off my soapbox now, but
Right. No, I can appreciate that perspective, and yeah, I think people, to your point, David, they're just kind of pushing through and doing their thing like you did with that documentation. And I guess that's the way forward, right?
well, that's what it takes sometimes. It's just,
Yep.
and if you ask Rich here in our office about, we just go and try things. And we have creative, forward-thinking people. Everybody in this office is we're willing to hang a LiDAR and do things that nobody's ever done with a LiDAR. We're willing to try things with sensors and do a lot of things that we're moving the ball forward because we just want to try it. Because just, I dare you to tell me no kind of thing. We're not unsafe. We're not doing anything particularly risky at all. We have our own SMS system. We have our own risk management structure. We have all of the safety implementations are in place to do it in a safe way from our perspective. You know, and all of a sudden somebody in the legislature says, well, we can't fly this one kind of drone because this information happens. Well, they don't dig beyond the headlines and get into the meat of the operation. They would understand that it is not as bad as a squeaky wheel may have pointed out to be. So anyway, I'll stop now. I want to hog everything, but just throwing my maybe 3 cents out there on this.
By the way, in the chat, I did put the link to the UTM framework and the governance model.
Hey, thank you. Before we wrap up, I wanted to ask all of you how you thought this workshop was. Was it helpful for you as an organization, or was it interesting to think about these things, or about how the workshop was structured? If you have any feedback, we would appreciate it.
Well done, Maitali. Thank you for getting us all together for this discussion. I liked the Miro board. I'm a big fan of doing the digital collaboration. I think it creates a good artifact. Very well done.
I liked how it got us thinking about things that we kind of talk about in passing, but just getting everyone to look at. I think that was kind of helpful just to talk some things out.
Yeah, and I think meetings like this, we kind of all have our own niche, but it's nice to hear everybody else's, or it's important to hear, just nice, but it's important to hear everybody else's thoughts on this, because we tend to stay in our own rabbit holes, so to speak.
I think it was interesting too that I think was it Beth that made the concern about the noise. Just from our perspective, and I could probably talk for the group here, like noise is really no concern to us because we're flying on a busy highway and the sound of cars drowning out, then you have roads being torn up. And if you're standing within a proximity of a jackhammer, no one's going to hear a drone at all with all that commotion going on. So, and also I think Ohio State did a study. They had a concern about this, like every 50 feet, the decibels reduce in half every 50 feet. So the time you get to 400, you're not hearing any of these aircraft at all. I might have a copy of that study too, if you're interested. I thought that was kind of interesting.
I'd be interested in noise study, and it also, if anybody's interested in volunteering for an ASTM standards committee to develop the criteria for the noise standard, or for the noise that they could accept.
I might have somebody for you, Wendy.
Yeah. Okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Apologies, you caught me chewing. If you want to, if you have like a link or anything I can send to him, or if you just want me to put him into contact with you, I can, whichever one you think is the right call.
We're still trying to figure out who the leader of it is. So how about if you just put him in contact with me?
Yep, we'll do.
Yeah, anything else? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I thought this was great. Thank you for the invite. To address the 800-pound elephant in the room, it seems like we're all upset with our legislators and our inability to create SOPs and guidelines. So maybe we should get them on the next call.
And that brings me to my next topic of there were actually a lot of people that we invited who couldn't make it because of scheduling issues. So we do plan to have another workshop. We do also hope to have one in person because we can make it a lot more fun and have a lot more conversation and actual sticky notes, which we all love. But just to put it out there, for anyone who is interested in being part of the next workshop that we have, which will not be the same activities, it'll be the next step of it. If you are not interested, then let me know and email me. But if you are, also let me know, but I will also assume that if you have a problem with it, then you will email me. But yes, thank you so much for making the time. And I know we slated out 2 hours for this, and I'm glad that we got done in under that. But if anyone has anything else to say before we wrap up, you can go ahead. I can also I'll send an email after this with everyone's contacts so that we all can stay connected to each other.
Just thanks for the invite. Appreciate it. Yeah, and keep me on the list for all correspondence. And I look forward to doing this again. Thank you very much. It's nice to meet you at
Thank you.
OTech also.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.
Very effective. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Thanks, gang. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.